Where'd he go?
Steve?
Hub, this is no place to die.
No, 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 no. Groot. No.
Sam! Sam, where you at? Steady, Quill.
Oh, man. There was no other way.
Mr. Stark? I don't feel so good.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go, sir. Please. Please, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
He did it.
He did it. He made it to the 600-point club, made it to the 650-point club. So I assume you want to welcome me to the 600-point club today?
Dude, that was last week's joke. You can't pull jokes again and recycle them. That was a great intro video, though. It was. I'm sure there was a lot of thought put into like which characters are which, and poor Spider-Man, man.
Yeah, so Spider-Man's my boy Kale, who like took this league seriously every week, religiously updating his lineups. Unfortunately, didn't make it every week. He asked me like, "How close am I to the playoffs?" He didn't make it. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to leave the league. The good news is he doesn't have to leave the league because there is a consolation winners bracket. We're still doing our weekly help me out here standings as we go here, right?
Okay, nothing's changing. The playoff format is just in parallel to everything that's been happening thus far. So it's he's still very much in this and very much participating. There's like, he's not out of it by any means. But we do officially have the playoff seedings. Everything has been finalized last night. A lot of drama, man. A lot of drama throughout the weekend. I was trying to update everybody as much as possible in the Telegram chat with just the live updates and the standings as I guess they were rolling in. And as I was typing away trying to figure out, how I can get them up there accurately. But everything's set in stone, man. The wild card weekend, I guess I throw an extra wild in there, starts
Why not?
now. And I guess it is an extra wild because, dude, there's 6 teams on a bye this week. All are heavily unfantasy favored teams. So just add another variable to the equation, man. I mean, whoever's playing this week in those games, you got your work cut out for you. That's for sure.
I'll raise my hand if you hate drama, for sure. Let's get right into it, dude, and show the brackets because, dude, you put a lot of work into it. I was very impressed when I saw the stuff that was done and you updating it in real time that I couldn't even keep up with it. So let's jump right into the brackets and show how you made it work.
Let's do it. And yeah, I was forced to, at the behest of my wife, take out the Christmas decorations today because I've been stuck at this all weekend. I haven't had a chance to do it. So found the Santa Claus hat and I was like, why not make it a festive moment? I'm in a festive mood anyway. Sitting atop the NFC South.
Yep.
All righty. So let's look at the overall standings first. Obviously, these are going to continuously roll over week to week, still moving forward. So your accumulated point totals will still be added in here. And every week you'll be able to come back to the overall standings on the website and see where you sit as part of the overall league. Team Massholes, and I figured out why they've been winning so much and why they've been atop of this league the whole time. They have been riding the Indianapolis Colts offense the entire season, and they lead the league in turnovers. and they have just crushed everybody offensively. I mean, if you look at their win-loss total, it's not even really that impressive. But offensively, they've been doing some damage. So didn't change the narrative this week by any means, because Indianapolis got absolutely obliterated on Sunday Night Football and threw five turnovers. I guess 3 or 4 of them were interceptions. But they are the first team to eclipse the 700-point total, which is cool to see. So right at the last week of the UNfantasy regular season, we have a team that eclipsed 700 total points for the year. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, man. I thought we were done with mess holes because you saw a lot of these people here, like Bored to Death, Jay Fireman. They were right up at the top mess holes. I kind of saw them coming down a little bit. I thought we were done with them, but he swooped back up. Dude, for a while, I was in the lead right till the end for this week's standings, the weekly game.
So let's pop over to the weekly ones, because watching this in real time, I guess from my seat, I don't have the opportunity to share with everybody kind of the drama that unfolds, because I try to update certain stats as I watch the last games of the week, just to kind of see where everything plays out. So you were number one heading into Sunday night, by a pretty significant margin too. And I guess it was keeping up with the Joneses. They had Tampa Bay's special teams playing. And obviously with the special teams card, you are awarded 3 points for every punt. Now, if you look carefully, now I think they also had New Orleans offensive card too. But there was a period of time, and if you look closely, they would have beat you by 0.1 points if Tampa Bay had punted again. So I'm sitting here and I'm watching this whole side of the equation kind of like play itself out. And, is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? And all of a sudden, man, out of nowhere, Christikins and Massholes just completely run away with the league. Or with the week.
Like Christikins, so she's won one, we know that, and she took 1 yard short once before, right? So now it's their second time taking second place.
I think so, but I mentioned this in the email recap. Dude, this is arguably the most impressive win of the season. Okay. She had a -5 in her win-loss card and still placed second. Right. That's a pure team effort at sucking from every direction. So it's really cool to see the other cards really have that kind of impact on the overall score for her that week. But if she knocked out that win-loss card, she would have claimed victory this week for sure.
Yes. So Massols will get his 2 cards. Christikins gets her 1, and Osusu Studio, you got to sing that when you say it. Will get his 2 cards. He sucked all year, man. He was helped us as we were starting to develop this game. He was very good about how do we make this a game of skill and not just a game of chance, or how do you combine them both? Because that's really the fun shit. And I think we achieved that. But anyways, long-winded way of saying that Osusu Studio, very disappointed with his performance, but he'll still get his 2 cards this week.
Well, it's the second time in 4 weeks he's finished dead last. So, maybe this is his plan all along. I was told that there's a league investigation that's open to see if he either forgot the password to his computer or if he's actually tanking to try to get the number 1 overall UNfantasy draft pick for next season.
Yeah, we didn't go over the rules. We hadn't formulated the rules at that point, so who knows?
Who knows is right. I mean, he could be tanking for no reason, but, real pathetic performance this week, and, deservedly the weekly loser for, I don't even know how to say it, Osusu Studio.
It's a playoff of Susu Studio, the Genesis song or Phil Collins song or something like that. And
got it.
Not impressed.
Well, he's a Browns fan, so it doesn't count anyway.
Correct.
All right. So let's pop into what ultimately transpired in the wild card weekend. These are the matchups. They are live on the website, so you can see which teams are going to be squaring off against who. Just a quick reminder, these are a head-to-head matchup, right? So even though the standings and the overall points and the weekly winners and the 1 yard short and the loser, they'll all be crowned for week 14. Any teams that are playing in this wild card weekend, you really want to focus on beating the other 2 teams that you're squared up against. because that will make you move on into the playoff and a little deeper into the playoffs. And then next week face off against each of the division winners, which we'll get into when we cover the bracket. So all of these are going to be we're going to try to update these scores as they roll in, probably after each of the respective games. So you'll be able to see these. We're going to post these on the Telegram channel. There's an actual pop-up. If you actually go to the website, a pop-up will appear that will indicate the scores right away. So you're not going to have to hunt for these. You're not going to have to understand where you're at with the points total. There's going to be multiple ways that you can kind of keep track of your team heading into an all-important week 14.
So who are the division winners?
So let's pop into the losers bracket. So the division winners in the NFC, we have Goal Stoppers, who took the West, I think very comfortably so. I had a scare upon scares last night, but ultimately, Clutch closed out the game, closed out the regular season, and solidified the championship in the NFC South. Mac Jones in for unpoints, comfortable victory in the NFC North. And Muffin Punts, who has been atop of the league overall over the last few weeks, completely fell off a cliff this week. I think they played the New England card. They also didn't do too hot on their defense. There was a bit of a scare last night with them too. I mean, keeping up with the Joneses was threatening, but that all miraculous fourth quarter comeback by the greatest of all time sunk the Saints, therefore propelled Muffin Punts back to the number 1 overall spot in the NFC East, and therefore solidified the bye.
I don't know. I'm surprised to hear you say that stuff. It's because he's not in New England. You're allowed to say that stuff, or
I mean, I don't know, man. It's hard to put it's hard to comment or to crucify that guy after everything he's done. But I did hear something super interesting last night that I find it very difficult to believe, and maybe you can help me out with this. He accomplished something last night that he only did one time before. He came back from a 13-point or more deficit in the fourth quarter for only the second time. And I'll give you a shot in the dark to tell me which one was the first time.
Seattle Super Bowl, right?
No, but you're close.
They came down by 4. They were down 14 points in that game. Oh, Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta won.
Yeah,
they were down by a little bit more, weren't they?
Yeah, 23. But we got to check this out because I don't know. I'm starting to question your stats now because every week you put these useless stats.
I'm not. This is not my. Again, this is what I heard based on the broadcast last night. So if you're going to yell at anybody, yell at Joe Buck.
Joe Buck. The Patriots were down by 14 points twice to the Seattle Seahawks in that Super Bowl. So they were the first team to come back after being down 14 twice. Maybe that
in the
was
fourth quarter, though.
Maybe Joe Buck should yell at me because I think that actually might be the Baltimore Ravens AFC Championship game. Anyways, useless facts guy. I'll leave you with that title. I will not leave you with the overall title for this stuff, man, because I'm coming for you. You gave me a lot of shit last week. You said that I would never be above you in the standings again. I pretty much passed you up there. And I think it's the other way around at this point. I don't think you're gonna hit me up. I hope you hit me in the Super Bowl. I don't know if you're gonna get out of that because that NFC bracket is stacked. You got Goal Stoppers is stacked. You got Mac Jones in for unpoints. You got Muffin Punts in there. Only one of you can make it. Maybe there'll be a Highlander intro at one point, but I don't know if you're gonna see me in the Super Bowl.
I don't know either, man. Anything could really happen. I mean, there's the wild card weekend and then the wild card weekend, right? So teams could be riding that momentum wave from the victory this week into the division game. Anything could really go down. The advantage, I guess, that the first team buys have is, or the division winners have, is that there's no bye weeks in week 15. So all 32 teams will be in play. But you're right, man. I mean, Goal Stoppers is a force to be reckoned with. Linda has done a miraculous job managing that team all year long. Keeping up with the Joneses might come out of that wild card game. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. I definitely have my hands full with Zero F's Given, Mad Max, or Black Hammer. Black Hammer clearly has a lot of options to play. Mac Jones not too bad, but Christikins can easily come in and cause some damage. Lazy Lion also has a pretty solid team. And Muffin Punts, I mean, Muffin Punts, if I had to guess, I'd say is going to square up against Flag on the Play all day. And that's going to be an interesting matchup. So either way you look at it, man, I mean, there's a lot of competition in the NFC. So who knows? Next week might be my last week in the playoffs. And then you get shit talking reigns until either you win it or you get knocked out.
Linda and I will still let you come on the show. Linda will be here instead of you in there. I would say too, a couple of things. Frank said, I'm late. Battle Bunnies, you are late, but just in time to know that you didn't make the, I beat you in the division championship. So sorry, that was my only competition in that way, but I've been giving this guy, he stopped asking me for advice. So I see that this thing is getting pretty competitive, and I'm glad he did, because I would have given him different advice as well. Also, Breaky came in here, like literally we have a new player, the 69th player in this league. Breaky comes in and jumps up to 11th place overall in the standings, just based on the cards that he pulled. So congratulations on that.
I think after he joined, he was actually number 9. And, when everything kind of settled up with this week and the points total for this week, he settled in number 11. But still he kind of drew the bad luck, I suppose, of falling into the AFC West, where Massholes just ran away with everything. Of course, that's the current point leader of the league. Again, that's not solidified, even though the regular season is done. Those point totals will accumulate. So Massholes has the top spot now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that team will have it at the end of the overall season.
Yeah, and this is the regular season, end of the regular season to get to the playoffs. But the reality is that everybody, the 30th place could end up being on the first place at the end of this thing when all said and done as well. Still not over. Still reason to play for everybody.
Yep. So first down punters, Mountain Hikers, another late addition to the UNfantasy League, definitely fought their way into the playoffs. Very happy team. This is a team that was kind of riding the top of the mountain at the beginning of the season, kind of fell off a little bit, but had enough momentum and had enough point totals to survive and make it into the losers bracket here. Who do you see coming out of that little game?
I see first down punters coming out of that, I think. And it's funny with Very Hoppy, he thought he had this game figured out. In fact, he told me so. He's like, hey, man, I got all the cards I need for the rest of this year. I don't need anything else. He said it and forget it a little bit, came back, popped in a little, and he was up there, went down, and now he did just squeak in. So sometimes the teams that just squeak into this stuff are ones that you got to worry about. So I don't know. He could be there too.
That's the case in real playoffs too. I mean, it's it could be a momentum play, and obviously, if you're playing the cards that are winning now or losing now, I should say, you're going to accumulate those points pretty quickly. So even though they face the juggernaut in Massholes in the following week, I mean, any of those teams really does have a shot. The Breaky Commander Frost and Bladder Kickers game, this is an interesting one because Breaky and Commander Frost are obviously essential pieces to the Battle Bunnies project. Great guys. Obviously, they do a hell of a lot of work with the Battle Bunnies. Really fun guys to be around. And now they're mortal enemies heading into this week, trying to square off for the right to fight you.
That's right. And it's funny, man, because I was drinking, it looks like I'm like a product placement here, but I'm drinking my Battle Bunnies mug, which just happened to be random because I couldn't find any other water bottle out there. So looks like a product placement, but yeah. And maybe there'll be a mug here for someone that wins on this as well.
Maybe Bladder Kickers can put up a nice little fight too. I think they did finish last and first at some point this season as well. So we'll see if that team can kind of come through. Speaking of Battle Bunnies, they are squaring off in the wild card weekend. So there's going to be some free agency pickups and some lineup moves that Frank's going to have to make. Squaring up against Misinterpreting the Rules. And of course, 28 Falcons 3. Who do you see coming out of this one to face off against SP Film viewers?
Yes, and thanks SP Film viewers for putting that video together in a pinch on us. I feel Battle Bunnies is coming out of that pretty easily.
We'll see. 28 Falcons 3 is they put up a fight pretty much every week here, so We'll see if the right win-loss cards are in play for them, because, again, I think that the bye weeks are going to have the biggest impact on all this. Team Gorillas, not Terry Bradshaw, and Royale with Cheese. I guess on paper, this is, arguably the laissez-faire game of the week, I suppose. And Surviving the Survivor did survive to get that first round bye. Who do you see moving on from that game?
Not Terry Bradshaw. I see winning that one.
Yep, I see that happening too. So we'll see how it all plays out. Critical week for those teams. Make sure you visit the free agency market. We did mention last week that trades are still going to be accessible. So if you have people that you want to trade with, you're going to have the opportunity to do so. There's also the ability to play the wild card, which we've discussed a couple times over the past few weeks. Then those wild cards are going to be distributed between today and before the Thursday game. So you're going to have an opportunity to play that wild card if you wish. Just a quick recap. Everybody will get a wild card. You are only eligible to play one wild card in your lineup on each week. Your wild card will consist of your team logo on your owner's pass, and you can play that wild card in any of the scoring categories. The point system still works the same for each of the respective scoring categories. You can just play that card in any of the 5. Another way to obtain a wild card is to have a full set. A full set is an existing playing card that has a logo and a team background, which are the same. So a Jacksonville logo with a Jacksonville background, that is considered a full set. That full set can also be used in any of the respective scoring categories. However, if you try to play both of them, then the full set scoring category will only count towards the category that's on the actual playing card. So we can give some examples on that if I confuse the hell out of everybody.
No, I think we're good. It was good. It's a good point, right? But I think if you have Jacksonville, like you said, full set, just pull one up, I guess. Yep. So if you have this Minnesota full set, because the background's Minnesota, the logo's Minnesota, you can use this as a wild card if you're not currently using it as a wild card. So you could play this card in offense, special teams, win-loss, whatever. But if you are playing your other wild card that you get from your owner's pass, you can't play this as well. If you did play it, you could only play it for defense. Did I get that right?
Yep. So it's either it acts as a wild card or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, it is restricted to play in the existing scoring category. So all the lineup submissions that come in are going to verify all of these things as we continually move forward in the playoff picture. Those cards are eligible to be played starting week 14 all the way through the end at week 18. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And if there's any issues, we'll respond to you in email. If the issue does not get resolved, your lineup will revert back to the existing line, the most recent legal lineup there is. So probably last week's lineup. So just keep all those elements in mind. Just be very conscious of the way that you import your token numbers to set your lineups on the week to week. So that was the losers bracket. I mean, did we miss anything with that? I mean, I think we covered most of it here.
No, man, I'm flying by the seat of my pants as always with this one, so I'll let you lead it. But I think we got it, man. I'm very impressed with how you put this bracket together and how it is. So
cool, man. Yeah, we put a lot of work into this, so it's cool to see it unfold the way it did. The NFC and AFC standings. So let me just touch on this because I know we've been discussing this for the last few weeks. So this was originally called the playoff race, and it's now just the standings. These elements will not be updated any further because the playoffs have already been determined. So you can always reference these to see, how many points ahead you were, where you fit within the standings. You can verify that with the brackets. But on a week-to-week basis, these point totals will not be added to anymore. They're just merely for reference with respect to where you finished in the respective divisions. the wild card, we covered this. So again, below here will be an overall standings element as well. So you're going to get to see how many points you scored on the actual weekly basis on week 14. I mean, look, I'm not a betting man, dude, but if I had to bet, I'd say that the winners of these respective weeks may not even be playing in the playoffs, or at least in the losers bracket. Because that's just the way these types of leagues work. So anybody in that whiners bracket, which we renamed to avoid any confusion, it's no longer the winners bracket, it's the whiners bracket.
You were pissed that I renamed it because you had to rename it all over the site a million different times, like a whiny. Like you should be in the whiners bracket. I feel after the shit you gave me for that.
I mean, I think I just breathed heavily. I didn't really give you shit for it, but we got an interesting new twist to this one as well. And I think it's time that we, just to kind of explain how nobody is ever out of this, right? So we have a losers bracket. That losers bracket is a head-to-head matchup all the way through and including the championship. But for the consolation bracket or the whiners bracket, what we're doing is that they're going to be a you versus the rest of the league in your conference all the way up and through week 16. Starting in week 17, it will be a Final Four playoff. So it'll be the top seed versus the number 4 seed, the number 2 seed versus the number 3 seed, playing off head-to-head against each other in week 17. And then week 18 will be the championship of the consolation whiners bracket. So there's still plenty of opportunity for everybody to crawl up there. Again, it's going to be the top 2 in each respective conference that move on and square off in that Final Four matchup.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting, man. But literally, no one is out of this. Anybody can still win. Just different brackets. But true to our form, man, we're gonna take care of everybody like we have all year with the teams that have come in last place every single time. So there'll be something cool for the whiners. I think I might change it again. Actually, let's call it something different. The whiners bracket. I don't know. It's just so you have to change it on the website.
Sounds like you're whining about the name of the whiners bracket.
You can't recycle jokes, is what I've been told here by many people, including Goal Stoppers and yourself today.
You had that
and Goal Stoppers, like, what the hell, dude?
On your computer, waiting to say it, didn't you?
Goal Stoppers would love to have her come back on this stuff. I did want to give it a week breather because, like, I am going to lose my job here. But then it's very, very, very clear now that she still is on your side. So I need to even it out. That's why we may have straight Eth homie Jack Silverman himself come up to pick his picks as we do. I didn't even tally him last week, so we might have to do that in real time unless you tallied them.
I mean, I tallied mine because you were taking copious notes in your little black book, which may or may not contain other secretive elements of your life. But I went 9-6, and I guess I count the tie as a loss.
I would call it a wash, not a loss.
I mean, I picked the winner, and they didn't win. So in that case, I'm 9-5-1.
Okay, 9-5-1.
Respectful.
Yeah, I didn't tally them at all, but we can do that again. The other point. Let me just make sure. 9-5-1. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll do it after another time. But let's make our picks unless you got other stuff going on.
No, man, I think it's going to be a pretty cool week. Again, there's 6 teams on a bye. Those 6 teams include Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, Indianapolis, New Orleans, and Washington. So once again, very heavily unfantasy favorite teams on a bye this week. We're going to add a couple extra playing cards and scoring categories for those cards in the free agency pool. And then obviously everybody will have their wild card that they could play too. So plenty of opportunity to replace those teams on a bye if you've been either A, relying on them, or B, stuck with them and you don't have another team in your lineup. So Thursday night kickoff, man. Vegas heads to LA to play the Rams. Not the best building for Vegas historically. Obviously, they play the Chargers there the last couple of years. How do you see this one playing out?
I think the Raiders lose.
They're on a 3-game winning streak. Absolutely, in my opinion anyway, absolutely crushed LA this week in Vegas. I mean, to an extent, right? I mean, Adams had an amazing second half. I say this little momentum train keeps moving forward, man. Rams are not the best team, and I think they're going to be eliminated after this week. I know you had the knockout punch thumbnail last week, which was hilarious, but I think this is the final nail in their season. I say Rams lose.
Did you catch who that was on that thumbnail? Like
No.
if this league has done anything for me, it's definitely upped my my thumbnail skills or my graphic design skills, which I have none. But that is from Rocky. What is it? Drago or whatever. I had to cut him out, put him on Sean Payton's face because it was all grainy. So thanks, man. Glad you remember
great.
it. All right, so everybody too, I'm making the picks here. So in the comments, make your picks and we'll put you in here. And I promise I'll tally them up. Just been a whirlwind for me this last week as we go.
So this is actually the last week before we start introducing Saturday games. And Saturday games are something the NFL puts forth at towards the tail end of the season, starting in December. So just keep that in mind heading into week 15. We're going to see some Saturday games, but kicking off on Sunday, we have Baltimore and Pittsburgh, obviously a great division rival here. Pittsburgh's been riding a little wave, and Baltimore has been struggling, man. I don't know where Lamar Jackson sits. Is his knee okay? Like, there's very little communication about whether he's going to play or not. They did barely just enough to squeak by a hapless Denver team at home this past week. I think, again, I said this a couple weeks ago. I think Pittsburgh and what Mike Tomlin has done for that franchise, I don't see him finishing below 500. I'm going to say Pittsburgh wins on the road. Excuse me, Pittsburgh wins at home, so Baltimore will lose on the road.
All right. Baltimore loses. I'm going with Pittsburgh losing that. Sorry, goal stopper.
Pittsburgh's kind of in the hunt too, man. Baltimore's sitting in the number 3 seed, but that's just because, Tennessee has completely fallen off earth. Did you see they fired their GM today?
Nope, I have not seen anything. The world could have blown up by now, and I would not know it around me.
Well, we're here, and maybe this internet is working, and we're getting through to people, so I guess the world is safe. But, they fired their GM, dude, in the middle of a playoff hunt because they lost the last 2 games. Pretty crazy. Cleveland, Cincinnati, this is, again, I mentioned this the first time they played. This is a coin flip to be a 52-51 game or a 3-0 game or 3-2 game, just based on the way these teams historically play. Cincinnati looked great this past week, beat up Kansas City. I think Linda was very adamant about that game, called it, was right about it. Kansas City has a new arch rival in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's really controlled that matchup. I think they just steamroll over Cleveland, man.
I agree with you. And actually, it's a good call out, man, because I remember last week, Goalstopper saying that, right? She said, and she gave great commentary on it. She's like, hey, something along the lines of Kansas City always loses one of these. They got one more loss in it. It's coming this week. And yeah, she picked it. The only one, I think, to pick it. Maybe you did. I don't know. You would tell us if you did.
I thought I did. And then I looked at my picks, and apparently I didn't. So I was wrong on that. Anyway, Houston and Dallas, Battle of Texas. I don't know how much of a battle it's going to be. Definitely one of those weird games where Dallas can overlook Houston. Houston coming off, I guess what I called in the email, the Watson Bowl, where they completely shut down their former quarterback, but still lost the game. And I guess that's just the type of season that Houston's having. It's hard for me to even give them a shot in hell, especially after seeing what Dallas did against Indianapolis on Sunday night. Houston's going to lose this game. It's in Dallas too.
Yep. One of the things that sucks is about having this bye is that I won't get to play my Houston win-loss card on a guaranteed 25 points almost, but I'll take the bye. And I heard OBJ and Dallas are getting pretty close to finalizing some sort of deal.
Yeah, they obviously had a lot of time to talk about it on Sunday Night Football because of the, complete embarrassment that game was. But there's a lot of speculation on whether OBJ coming in is going to kind of ruin that whatever formula they've been able to develop with kind of, just CD Lamb and, a couple of their tight ends. And, obviously their running game has just been unbelievable this year. Not Ezekiel Elliott either. I mean, Pollard has really just emerged as an every down back. But it's interesting to see if OBJ comes in, man, because you can't single cover this guy, and it's gonna open up some avenues. I just don't know if Dak is the right guy to keep pushing this thing down the right path, man. They will fumble this up. They will screw this up at some point. I know it. I just don't know when.
You sound like someone hates the Cowboys very, 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 very much.
9 out of 10. They're America's team, but 9 out of 10 people hate them.
Yeah.
So I'm not alone in that.
It's like 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Colgate or something, but that shit tastes like shit, right? You got to get
they all use Crest. So, look, Dallas has to prove a lot to me in order to kind of get the respect that they think they deserve. I mean, look, Indianapolis is a great defense. They just had an off night and they Dallas posted 50 points, man. I mean, like, that's kind of unheard of. But look, we're not advocating that they're going to lose this week. By all means, I think we both agree they're going to crush Houston. I just don't know if they're going to make it that deep into the playoffs, especially since Philly keeps winning. They're going to have a wild card road game, most likely against the NFC South, which, could be an easy walkover too. But playing on the road in the playoffs, man, anything could happen.
Yeah, man. The Jets, the Dolphins, and the Vikings are those teams for me. I don't see them. I don't think they're that good, really. I do like the Vikings, though. I was rooting for them hard. Jack sent me a picture of his seats, man. They are killer seats. So we need to do a little bit more kiss assing to him because they are legit.
Well, stop talking shit about his team, then.
I just said I liked him, man. I caught myself. I hope he doesn't like Colgate either, because we should on that too.
Well, Minnesota pulled one off this week, man. And I told you, I've been saying it for weeks now, man. Maybe Jack can attest to this, but this is a team that figures out ways to win games. And that's what you got to do in this league, man. It's not always crushing people by 50 points like Dallas just did. It's literally just finding ways to win. And, I pity anybody that literally tries to go up against that team in a goal line stance again. This is about 4 or 5 different occasions throughout the season where I saw them completely shut the door. And the hapless Jets, just couldn't figure out a way to get the ball across the goal line. That being said, Minnesota could not officially clinch because Detroit had an awesome game against Jacksonville. But they square up against each other this week, man, and that's our next game. So Minnesota heading into Detroit. This is the NFC North title on the line for them. Detroit's offense is still posting 40 points a game, man. Their defense is kind of settled in. They're not giving up 40 points anymore. Does Minnesota have enough gas in the tank to just completely solidify the NFC North, maybe take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit, get healthy heading into the playoffs?
I think there's only one person to ask on that, and that would be the Jewish Viking himself, as he's proclaimed. Let's see if he's got technical difficulties, because he is way worse at tech than me. It is Team Straight Ethomi, just in time to pick the game, the Minnesota versus Detroit game. How are you, man?
I'm good. How do I get rid of this damn echo?
I told you he's going to have tech issues. What did I tell you?
Good. How do I get rid of this echo?
I don't hear the echo. Do you guys? Anybody else hear the echo? No, you're gonna have to live with it. It might be in your ears, man. Did you get waterlogged in the?
Nope. I might be
at the boys' club or whatever.
It might be okay now. It's okay, I think.
All right. What's up, man?
Nice to see you, man.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
You can, loud and clear.
Okay. What can I say? I don't know how to operate the equipment. Operator error.
I'm surprised you didn't take that big, Viking horn from the stadium and come and try to talk to us here.
You pulled your hearing aid out at the same time.
Make a little switch here, folks.
You missed my joke. I'm pissed.
Give me play me on though while I'm doing this.
I'm glad he missed mine. Mike, I told you, man. I told you he was going to have some technical issues jumping on this thing.
This is great.
All right, guys, I can hear you through the computer now.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Now we can stop talking bad about you, and we can get back to picking picks.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Now we have the echo.
Of course, I didn't know didn't have access to YouTube video. So what can I say?
You'll have to. You're gonna have to mute because you were hanging out with us earlier. You're gonna have to mute or shut off that other video though from the YouTube video.
Yeah, we're getting
like hates hearing their voice, right? So your YouTube video here. I'll put it on mute. We'll sort that out. I don't know. I kind of like hearing my own voice.
This is the intro video to next week's Trash Talk Tuesday.
Maybe I kind of like hearing my own voice as evident. I talk a lot, but I don't know about you, Mike. Is that one of those things like when you hear your voice, you hate it?
No, I mean, everybody has always told me I have a great radio voice, and I've always responded with the face for radio is a little bit better, but we'll see.
Everybody has always told me.
You still got an echo there, Jack. So we might just need to I don't know if you know sign language. I know Mike does. I think so. I think you can just have to do the win or the law. Well, just do the L sign like this of the team that you think is going to lose. Do you think
is this still West Coast or is this could be W for win?
Yep. I don't know. It could mean something like that. It could mean Whiner's bracket. It could mean Whiner's
I'm not a good lip reader, so I can't make that out. But Jack, your microphone, I guess, turned off on you.
I turned it off because we got to turn that YouTube video off in the background.
Got it.
Your microphone, I guess, turned off on you.
That's what I'm saying.
I feel like I'm in a cave.
Last chance. All right, we're just gonna leave him up there, man. That's what we gotta do. That's what we do. All right, so
perfect. All right, who you got? Minnesota at Detroit.
I say Detroit. I say it's a coin flip. And I have so many damn questions about the Vikings and Vikings fans because they're almost like Sasquatch. Like you don't really know they exist, but now this is proof that Vikings fans exist. I don't know what skull means. I thought it was like a chewing tobacco.
I thought that's what it was too.
Yep, but it's not. Apparently, it's something different. So many questions, but we're gonna get Jack up a different time. But I still was keeping him here. So win loss. I think Detroit and the Minnesotas could go either way, and I think I'm gonna pick Detroit to lose.
I got Detroit losing too. I got Minnesota taking the title. I guess I'll speak for Jack on that one too. I don't think he's gonna go against his team in a division game like that.
Yep. All right. Next game. And I hate this weird part of the day with this lighting. You can tell I'm not a YouTuber because I don't have like the neon lights in the background or I got landscapers. I got, blinds of sun. But here we are. You just have to deal with it.
Well, Jacksonville goes to Tennessee. This is a division game, always a question mark. Tennessee, obviously, we said earlier, just fired their general manager after a 2-game skid. They are, I think, riding pretty comfy in the AFC South.
That's a tough one.
Jacksonville's been a completely weird team. Tennessee has not played well at home. Jacksonville's played way better at home. This game is in Tennessee. I mean, I'm saying a lot of things that aren't leaning one way or another. I'm just going to go with the Titans on this one, so Jacksonville loses.
Yep, I'm going to pick Jacksonville loses. That's a tough one, though, too. I actually have not watched a Titans game all year. So I don't really know.
There was a game earlier in the season where they went to Buffalo and got demolished. You didn't watch that? It was like Sunday night or Monday Night Football.
Maybe.
Anyway, yeah, they're an interesting team, man. I saw them play like the full game. I saw them play against Kansas City, and you can literally see the difference in styles of those two teams. And Tennessee got the short end of a good game. But, you're talking about a team that passes the ball 4 or 5 times a half versus, running the ball 20 to 30 times, man. I think Henry had 40 carries or something ridiculous in that game. Just an insane style of play, but you can control the game if you can move those chains, man, and that's what they've relied upon. He's a big, big back. I'm interested in your thoughts on this one, man. I think I know where you're going to lean towards it, but, I'd love to hear your analysis on the Jets heading up to Western New York, squaring off against Buffalo in December. Buffalo this time of year, obviously difficult spot to play. Buffalo's, coming off arguably the best Sunday they had all season, and they didn't even play. They solidified their win on Thursday night against the Pats, and then everybody else that they were kind of like fighting with lost, Kansas City included. So
yeah, it was great.
Who do you have winning that one?
Great for Buffalo is also great for the Patriots, but not as good as it was for the Buffalo. The Jets suck. I'm going Buffalo wins that one, but I would be totally. I mean, the Jets already beat Buffalo, right? But I'm gonna go with the Jets losing that game. On here.
So the Jets won in New York or in the Meadowlands.
In Jersey.
In Jersey. Buffalo heading up to, I don't know, man. This is I don't like the way Josh Allen's been playing lately, to be honest with you. And their defense has done enough to get them by, but offensively, I think they need to either, shit or get off the pot at some point heading down the stretch here. They're sitting number 1 seed. Obviously, we said that because everybody else lost this week, but I don't know if it's deserving. The AFC is kind of like up in the air, man. It's anybody's game right now. I'm gonna say it's gonna be tough to beat that team twice. I'm gonna say the Jets lose.
All right, that'll be good for the Patriots, I think, if that happens. We're gonna bring up, because I just gotta know. I don't care. There's no audio trouble that's gonna get in the way to understand what skull means, Jack. So how are you?
I'm good. Does it work now?
Perfect.
Gotcha.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
For all 6 people online, I actually work for a digital marketing company, and I should know how to work all this stuff, but what can I say?
No, it's all good, man. I'm the same way. Just kind of wing it, and then you have Mike to kind of pick me up when I forget my lines or whatnot. So all good.
So
all good.
I want to say thank you. I completely don't understand what I'm doing, but at the end of this year, I have 5 regular fantasy teams, and that occupies a lot of space in my head. But I'm going to do a tutorial with Mr. Briggs so that I am up to speed for next year on this thing. I haven't changed anything at all on any of my lineups, and I was thinking maybe I will be the last man. But as fate would have it, I got a few points. I don't know how, but
well, that's what we said. And hopefully the tutorial is not like, a tech tutorial, because I'm not gonna be able to help you on that one. But I think this was a perfect example, because you were not shy about that all along. You were just looking to ride it out and see where it goes. And we designed this stuff in the beginning of the season to try to figure out, like, how can we make it fair for everybody that wants to play a skill game, but also have a chance to win, right? And keep it around. Yeah. And there's been teams that they've just got there. We've had both sides. We've got teams that like Breaky, who just literally came on last week and pulled the right cards to put him up to 9th place. So if he had gone the same cards he would have been, competing with us all season. But some people got really bad cards and didn't play it, like you, and Straight E told me went all the way down there. But it's kind of mix of both. But it's been a good test year for us. So thanks.
Yeah. So what I think is, at the beginning of the season, when I'm doing my research, I obviously have an idea who the worst, crummiest teams are going to be.
That's what I thought.
I think that's got to be one way to approach it at the beginning of the season, to try and obtain those cards. I mean, nobody thought, my homies here in Minnesota were going to be 10-2. Everybody's shocked about it, and we got a ways to go. But I would have pulled them as maybe one of the worst teams with a new coach. You know what I'm saying? So how do you know? You don't know exactly.
Yep. I mean, you've heard me this whole time, Jack, give credit to Minnesota and their ability to find ways to win games, right? Like that's really what separated them in a lot of these games versus this season versus last season. Obviously, whatever happened with Green Bay and Chicago's heavily reliant on Justin Fields. They're not a team that's ready to either, be consistent enough in the win column, but might cause some havoc in the division. Detroit can't ever be consistent. Green Bay falling off the map really paved the way for Minnesota to do what they did this year. But I give a lot of credit to that coaching staff, even though they're new. I give a lot of credit to Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins. Jefferson is having a season amongst seasons. This entire team and that defensive front, man. I mean, they are not a team to sleep on. I'm very confident that a team like that, especially if the playoffs roll through Minnesota, at least in some capacity, depending on what happens with Philly, I think that they're going to be a force in the NFC heading into January.
And they will. They probably, they're the luckiest team, certainly in Buffalo. That fumble on the last play. And even last weekend, the wide receiver, I think it was a tight end that dropped the pass, that was a touchdown. So, I'm hoping, The Vikings have been to 3 Super Bowls and lost them. And
thought it was
Jefferson, I
4.
actually tell you a quick little story. I live right near the Vikings practice facility, and I went over there to get a couple of passes for a friend of mine to come into my club. And I had a dream that I was going to run into Kirk Cousins in the lobby. So I had to look up the right pronunciation of his name. So in case I saw him, that I didn't call him Kirk or Kurt. And I went to pick up my ticket, and you have to go through an immense amount of security to get into an NFL practice facility. I mean, it's like Fort Knox. And I'm turning around to walk out of the building, and Justin Jefferson walks out. And I look right at him, and I mean, I'm 2 feet away from him, and I was going to say, "Hey, you look just like Justin Jefferson." I held my tongue and didn't do it. And the moral of the story is I had the wrong dream, because I was dreaming about Kirk Cousins, but I should have been dreaming about Justin. So
That's funny. If
When
you
you
would
were
have
saying
Randy
that, I was
Moss,
like,
I would have laughed a little louder. But
when you were saying that, I was wondering, like, what do you mean, Kirk Cousins? Like cuisines? Like, what do you mean? How do you pronounce his name?
Kurt, I thought, I can mix it up easily between Kurt and Kirk.
Oh yeah, he gets it. He gets it. He gets that stuff. Do you know? I mean, I guess the real question is, do you know the gritty?
The what?
The gritty.
The gritty.
Gritty. That's the Justin Jefferson dance move.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I know there are players on this team. My kid knows the gritty. Yep, that's exactly what I was getting at.
did it too, man. That's awesome.
That's the greatest thing when he does that. So
Yep, because it means a touchdown or
It
something.
means he scored. That's awesome, man. Look, again, I don't know where they finish up, but it's been a hell of a ride for them this year. And you were front and center for all of it, I guess, right?
yeah. And before I hang up here, my 5 fantasy teams, 4 of them are for money, and 1 of them's free. And of course, was in first place in the free team till Lamar Jackson got injured. So I need a quarterback for this week. And it's kind of slim pickings. What do you guys think about picking up, what is his name, Huntley, the backup?
Who else is available?
Yeah.
I would say I could get Carr from Las Vegas.
That could be an interesting matchup this week against the Rams.
Yeah.
If you get their defense. I've been playing their defensive card in our league. The Rams.
Yeah, the Rams. I had the Rams in traditional fantasy as well, and I dropped them after week 4. Like, they have not been the same defense that they were the last few years, even though Jalen Ramsey is a great corner, arguably the best in the league. You know who I picked up that's really been kind of good, and obviously this week he's on a bye, but is Heineke, from Washington.
That's a guy that you need to know, wake up in a dream to pronounce his name right? That's the one, not Cousins.
I don't know if Heineke's available, and I don't know. Well, obviously you need him for this week, so that's not a solution for you this week with the bye, but that's a longer-term play. There's also Purdy out in San Francisco. I heard rumors that Baker Mayfield's probably going to get signed by Baltimore to replace Lamar. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know what kind of impact that will have. Clearly, it was an experiment that failed in Carolina after a failed experiment in Cleveland.
Well, John, how about your homie from New England? He's available, Jones.
Good question, Jack.
And Tannehill's available. It's pretty slim pickings.
I'd pick Carr out of all of those.
Me too.
But he does throw some interceptions there. I guess it depends on how the league is set up.
He's got a lot of weapons, man.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams has been on fire, and Morneau has been. Is it Morneau? Yeah, Morneau has been like playing really, really well. Matt Collins has also kind of stepped it up as the second receiver on that team. One of the bigger disappointments from that offense this year has been Hunter Renfrow, who had an unbelievable year last year. And obviously with Devontae Adams coming in this year, I thought Renfrow was going to be a shoe-in at the slot receiver spot. And this hasn't turned out that way.
Well, they're playing the Rams, I think, right? So
they're on the road playing LA, traditional tough place to play for Vegas over the last few years. But that's because they play the Chargers there. I think the Raiders are going to win that game. Whether it's on the back of Jacobs or Carr, both of them have been playing hot lately. So it's not a bad pick. I would actually jump on that pretty quickly because there might be some players that are looking for quarterbacks that are on a bye in your league. So you might want to put in that waiver wire. I guess your waivers, get
Yeah,
confirmed
they
at
work in
midnight
reverse
tonight.
order, so I got to wait.
Got it. And it probably opens up at midnight tonight. Most of them open up on Wednesdays. So Carr's a good pick, man. I would roll with that one.
Okay. Well, we'll check back with you next week just to see how that happened. But I was going to pick him up this last week. Anybody would have been better than Lamar Jackson because that killed me.
How can you predict that, though? You can't predict injuries. And
I
you
had
can't
Justin
bench that
Fields.
guy against Denver.
Justin Fields has a bad shoulder, and I bit into all that, hype cycle about him. But he had a great game. He had a 52-yard touchdown.
He's their whole team. They've proven that without Fields, like Chicago is garbage. Lamar had MVP talks at the beginning of the year, and he's kind of shifted away from that. The team has not really played that well. They've been playing really close games, including this past week. Denver's defense is really one of the better ones in the league, even though their record doesn't show it. I hope he plays. I hope he comes. Is he officially out? I didn't know.
They said that kind of injury is like 1 to 3 weeks typically.
Got it.
So I think it's going to be a while, I think.
Sounds like Jack's got all the alpha for us to pick our games in our league. So I'm going to be hitting you up, Jack, as I'm picking up my lineups for these things. But run through these real quick, Jack, so that we can get your picks on record here. So Raiders or Rams, Speedfire?
Well, I'm going to go with the Raiders to win.
Okay, so we can say lose here, right? So the Rams.
I want the losers, right.
Rams are losing. So Pittsburgh or Baltimore?
I am going to say somehow Baltimore will. Pittsburgh's going to lose.
Pittsburgh's going to lose
because I'm going to be in Florida this weekend, and whenever I'm there, Pittsburgh's playing, and they'll lose.
That's a humble brag. Normally it would work, except to two guys in Florida here already. So, but yes, that's going to be. You're all over the place, man. I love it. Cleveland, and I forgot who they're playing.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati lose. Cleveland loses.
Yep. Houston, Dallas. I'll just put Houston in there for you, unless you got some other information that you don't know, that we don't know about.
I hate Dallas too, but
yep.
Especially after what they did to the Vikings.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also put Detroit in here to lose.
Wow.
If
the Vikings were going to lose a game here this weekend, this could be it. I mean, Detroit's kind of on an upswing right now. Jared Goff is playing pretty well, but somehow I got to stick with Detroit to lose.
Okay, I like
it's a safe fire pick, man. I think that Minnesota will win this game and just completely shut it out. They had an opportunity, I think, at one point to solidify that division before Thanksgiving. That's kind of like the momentum that division has had with them. So I don't see them dropping the ball, especially they're waiting for Dallas to play Philly because they think that perhaps Dallas can upset Philly. And if that happens, man, it's a race to the finish for that top spot in the NFC. I don't think Minnesota lets a game like this go to waste.
Yeah, so the year, my seats, we had the Super Bowl here the year that the Vikings were in the NFL championship game. My seat in my club would have been $10,000 to go to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And that's a thinker. But if it goes to Arizona this year, I'm in. And John, you'll have to come and join me.
Yes. Yep. I mean, when we were starting this league up here, it was like when NFT space was a different world. We were thinking like Super Bowl tickets as prize. That's not a possibility this year, but next year maybe there. But I will say, I was recently in your stadium, man. I loved it. And what's cool, I don't know, I've seen it in the newer stadiums, but you have like club seats that are like on the field that are like, it's nuts. Like,
so my seats are in the Medtronic Club. It's on the website, but it's kind of a middle level club, but it's the most posh place in there.
Yeah, I've been in it.
My seat is basically on the 48-yard line. And in the old stadium, I was 8 rows behind the Vikings bench. We go back to 1960 with our season tickets.
That's amazing.
And I would have been on the 50, but my cousin decided to delay choosing the seats in the new stadium. But so all the food and drinks, not hard liquor, but beer and wine are included. And they started out with gourmet food. Now you get, like they had breakfast in there, and they have chicken wings, and they have two kinds of hamburgers and pizza and hot dogs and big pretzels and, nachos. I mean, it's unbelievable. We have our own bathrooms, and I don't have to look at any of those people with painted faces, that come in and will throw up all over you. We have our own entrance to get in. I'm a semi-snob, but, I'm 72 years old, and I'm done with, crowds.
You want to enjoy a good football game. I get it.
Yeah.
Do
72
you have
years
a
old and
PSL with that?
What?
Do you have a PSL with that? Personal seat license, or is it just
Yes.
the tickets?
Yep. It's like a piece of real estate. So
I have it in
those are-
Vegas. I have it
Okay.
for the Raiders.
Yeah.
But I was a season ticket holder for the Dolphins a few years back, and they don't do PSLs down here. It's just the season tickets. That's it. So I thought that
and they've gone up in value. So, but I don't care about that because the old stadium was crummy. But this new one is, John's been in there. It's like luxury. It's really nice. So
state of the art.
It's
Yeah.
legit. It's legit. It's very cool. I was going to say 72 years old, but you're doing the gritty, man. I don't know if that's a Guinness Book of World Record, and I would have never guessed 72 years old. There you go.
I thought you were going to pull a Dolphins joke with that one, but
I will. If the Vikings win the Super Bowl, I will come on and do the gritty again. So
All right. I'm rooting for, you can't not root for the Vikings. One of the things when I was up there, and this actually is very pertinent to when Mike and I started this whole thing 6-7 years ago with the parody tees and taking these logos and putting some merch on it. I kind of like low key like different colors. Like there's some great color schemes out there. Minnesota is one of them, but it's like I'm a Patriots fan. I can't wear that, but it gets kind of old and bland and stuff. So when one of the reasons, and I have it right here, you can tell I don't clean my desk because I showed this last week, but this one's coming your way. I love the color scheme. So when I was out there, it was hard to not go to that pro shop and pick something up because they're like, look at you, man. The swag that you have is legit there, and they had some stuff in there that I definitely wanted. I just need to take that brand and put the crying purple tear Viking.
yeah,
logo
I mean
on it
that
instead.
the Vikings training facility, it is so nice. I've toured through it a couple times. Everything about this team here, when the Wilfs built this new stadium, it's first class. So
Yep.
yeah,
Or how
their
else would
training
they get the
facility
players
is
to come?
there's a hotel there. They've got a great restaurant. So you'll have to come up and do a little field trip. Either one of you guys.
definitely.
Yep.
Love to go to Viking games there, man. I might be the guy with the painted face, so I don't think we could sit together.
I can allow it for a game.
All right, Jack, while we got you here, man, Phillies head into the Meadowlands facing off against the Giants. This has the potential to be a great division game, but Phillies playing really well. Giants are hanging on by a thread. I'm going to go ahead and say the Giants don't win this game and they blow it.
I would take the Giants to lose.
Also, Jets and Buffalo, real quick, Jack.
For sure, the Jets are going to lose again. They don't have a quarterback.
And then Jacksonville, Tennessee.
Jacksonville, Tennessee. I'm going to go with Jacksonville to lose.
All right.
KC goes mile high, facing off against Denver. I think this is a bounce back game for KC. Denver's going to blow it.
Yeah, Denver loses.
What a disappointing year for Russell Wilson, man.
Yeah.
And Denver fans, for that matter. They've been spoiled forever and not really having the best of luck this year.
I don't think they put him into the right type of offense either. So,
it's interesting. They don't really have that solid of a running game. Cortland Sutton has clearly not shown up. Jerry Jeudy's been hurt a lot of the year. But Russell Wilson is just not playing Russell Wilson football, right? He's not doing well with clock management. He's not moving on the ground much. I don't know what the deal is with that team this year, but it's clearly not working. They got to figure something out next year.
For sure.
John, who you got?
Denver loses. I think we have all the same picks except for you pick Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Everybody else got the exact same picks here, so we better mix it up.
It's a weird week, man. But this is the type. Look, I guarantee you guys, we talked about it all over last few. This is the week where there's a million upsets. And all of us are going to be wrong, and all of these crazy teams. Houston's going to beat Dallas. This is the type of. There's 1 week in the season where this all happens, and this has the prime pickings for being that kind of week.
It's happened like 3 times this year already, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, not in mass. I mean, there's been some upsets, but Carolina goes to the Northwest, faces off against Seattle. Seattle's coming off a really strong win in LA. They're in control of that division for sure. Arizona's just been an embarrassment this year too. I say Seattle pulls it out at home. Carolina goes up there and loses.
I agree.
Yep. Same.
Tampa, after whatever they pulled off last night, now they have a test and going to the other Bay Area, not Green Bay, but San Francisco.
Ooh, Brady
This
going
is,
home.
yeah, Brady's going home.
Yeah.
Could be an interesting time for San Francisco. I heard they just pulled a $360 million offer for Aaron Judge too. So I don't know what's going on in that. Like clearly, Garoppolo going down is going to have an impact in some way, shape, or form. Christian
I learned
McCaffrey
one
is
thing:
resurged.
never bet against Tom Brady. I'm going to
Yeah,
take
I think
San
a lot of
Francisco
those.
to lose.
A lot of teams have made that distinction, although this year just, if there's 1 year to have this is arguably his worst year of his career, which, is something to say, but every Atlanta fan would agree with you. Don't bet against them.
Every Giants fan would disagree.
Tampa Bay with a losing record, leading the division, heads over to San Francisco. San Francisco's been on fire. Their defense has been unbelievable. Christian McCaffrey has resurged. Brandon Ayuk, Samuel, all these guys are just playing at top level football. I don't think Garoppolo was the nucleus of that. I think San Francisco keeps rolling, man. Tampa gets crushed.
Well, I got to go the opposite only because I got to somehow win this, right?
Yep, I like it. So you kind of sound like a betting man on that one. I don't know. I think Garoppolo, that offense is pretty simplified for him. So I think this Purdy guy could do some stuff. McCaffrey would go. I think Tampa Bay loses this game, and I will bet against Tom Brady.
Interesting. Miami goes to SoCal, faces off against the Chargers. Chargers had a rough division game against Vegas. Devontae Adams completely embarrassed them in the second half. I don't know if LA is that team this year, man. They could be outside looking in. In fact, they are at this moment. New England, if anything, has their number as kind of like the better teams that they're going to be playing for the rest of the year. Miami's coming off a tough loss in San Francisco. They couldn't do anything offensively. I think this is a rebound game for them, and they get they regain control over the AFC East in that in that kind of matchup. I say LA loses.
Yeah, I agree. LA loses. Miami's got those two receivers, and Tua's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
crazy, right? You would have never thought that he's leading the league in passer rating. But no. It is what it is. I mean, they definitely gave him weapons this year. There's no doubt about that. They got rid of one in Parker and they scooped uphill, which I think shocked a lot of people. But their running game, man, that's really what's been impressive over the not last week, but the previous 3 weeks or so. I think Wilson from San Francisco was arguably one of the best trade deadline acquisitions that were made in the league this year. And teaming up with Mostert, I mean, I was at the game against the Browns here in Miami, and they just ran all over that team. And you would have thought it would be the opposite the way Cleveland plays. But final game, Monday Night Football, another primetime game for New England, dude.
I think Miami's losing that. And I don't know if you, for the record.
Oh, I thought you said it already. I'm sorry.
Nope.
I could have guessed it, but
nope.
Another primetime game for New England, dude, which means that I guess your boys aren't watching the games for another week.
It's 4 games in a row. I friggin' hate it, man. It ruins my days, the next days. It's one thing I would love to live in the West Coast for is because you're in bed after Monday Night Football at like 8 o'clock. But yeah, 4 weeks in a row. Got to stay up late. I'm picking Arizona to lose this one.
I think, every week we talk about the nail in the coffin, man. And I don't know when it's going to set in with you. Arizona is not a good team. I don't know what happened with that team. A lot of turmoil inside out. I say New England wins this game, but that doesn't mean that I think that they're going to make the playoffs. I still think they miss out on playoffs, but they do beat the Cardinals in Arizona this week.
I think Arizona's going to lose too. And John, what's with Bill Belichick in the Viking game on Thanksgiving? He brushed by Adam Thielen and wouldn't shake his hand. What's the story?
I don't know.
Was he pissed off because Thielen had the touchdown?
No. Every week he does this, and somebody will ask that question. But I think he just is very laser focused dude, I guess, and doesn't give a shit. He's not like a pleasantry kind of guy. I think
He
he
looks
just,
like he needs a laxative. So
yeah, he would not be doing the gritty. I can tell you that.
Well, on this game, Jack, I'll ask your opinion since you asked ours. I have to pick up a defense in my league. All right. And the Patriots are out there. And I'm thinking that might be a solid pickup. Right now, I have the Bucks, and I don't want to play them against the Niners. I've been playing the defensive position on a week-to-week based on matchups, and I think the Pats are my best bet. But what do you think? Is that a safe defense?
well, I mean, New England at home on national TV.
It's
No,
not
they're
one
on
of
the
homes
road.
in Arizona.
Oh, they're on
I
the
think
road. I'm confused. Okay.
in goal
That's a
stopper.
tough one.
I mean,
Who's your defense now, Mike?
Tampa.
Yeah. I mean, if we think New England's going to win the game, they're going to have to play defense. So
I just feel that like Arizona will have enough turnovers to make it worthwhile. And Belichick's a defensive guy, right? I mean, like there's no denying that.
Is Kyler Murray playing?
He has been, but he has not been playing well.
Yeah.
Hopkins has been playing well, and he's obviously a threat that scares me. But I think that the last few weeks, New England has had a lot of balls in their hands and dropped them defensively. And I think that if they can get that fixed, it will definitely be worthwhile. Plus, they're always a threat on kickoff and punt returns, as every Jet fan knows now.
Well, Arizona's got all their receivers back. Hollywood Brown is back, and Hopkins is back, and what's the other guy? Rondell Moore. He's pretty good. I mean, the Vikings. They beat him on the last play of the game. That Murray is very elusive, but
he is.
Well,
yeah.
Not to talk you out of it, but I mean, Justin Fields tore up the New England defense, made him look like Tua. So if maybe Kyler Murray has a good week.
Justin Fields tore up the Vikings defense too. So
yeah,
of course anybody can tear up the Vikings defense.
Except on the goal line, man. They're a force on the goal line. The purple people eaters, right? That's what they were called back in the day. Jack, this has been great, man. I appreciate you coming on. I'm glad we got the audio and technicalities fixed out. All things considered, I know you're in a bunch of other leagues, and we really appreciate you popping into the league this year. I mean, for the most part, popping into these Trash Talk Tuesdays, seeing the lineup, seeing the emails, seeing everything, like even though the understandings of the mechanics still need to be ironed out a little bit, did you have a little bit of fun this year in this league?
Oh, Trash Talk Tuesdays, it's a lot of fun. As John knows, I'm kind of semi-retired. I'm still working a little bit, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with my life a little bit. John and I have been talking Battle Bunnies. I don't know if Frank is still on, but love that franchise. And hey, Frank, why do I have to go to the website to buy the Battle Bunny art? I mean, I know the owner, I know the creator. I would think you could really fix me up with something. I want to frame. What do I have, John? 113, I think.
I don't know, but it's a solid looking one. I love the way it looks.
Can I get an original piece of art of 113 or whatever my number is?
Is this Spartan?
I know it might have been computer generated, but can you redraw it for me, Frank? Anyway, I've had a lot of fun, you guys. Mike, you're very technical. I really have to squint and think about the stuff that you're talking about. And John's my main man. I love the guy.
I just thought an idea.
I just think you guys are very smart, and I like to follow smart people.
I appreciate that, Jack. Thank you very much, man. It's been a pleasure having you in the league this year. It really has. And I still got your back, man. I'm rooting for Minnie for the rest of the year, man. So I'm
okay. Hopefully, I can come back and we'll keep talking about it as long as they keep going.
Doors always open to you, sir.
We just solved the problem here. Linda and Mike have their little clique. Jack and I have our, clique or whatever you want to call it, our bromance or whatever. So I feel like that evens it out a little bit. So maybe we'll have to come back there. I know Frank is neutral, so we'll get us all on, and that'll
Frank makes his picks based on what traffic looks like in the city that day. So
he does.
I told John, by the way, if I ever get a tattoo, I'll come down and have Frank do it. In fact, I'm going to be there on Friday. Maybe I'll come over.
So how about this? If the Vikings win the Super Bowl, maybe Frank or Krista will be able to memorialize it on you forever.
Oh, maybe I could see it. It's either that or Che Guevara. I'm not sure which one I want. So
we're we're gonna find out if Frank's still here because like you're volunteering his tattoo time up over there, Mike. That's tough to do. But yeah, man, Jack, obviously a pleasure hanging out and doing all this stuff. And you still have the coolest name in the league by my book. So hopefully next year that sticks. And
Well, I would keep the name. Yeah, that's it forever.
yep.
And that's going to be an award, by the way, at the end of the year. Whoever has the best name, and we're going to put that to a vote. So we'll see if the community agrees or not. But
yep.
ETH.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. I think we're good, Mike. I mean, I think the one thing we'll just say, just to wrap it up for everybody here, that because we talked about the wild card again, your owner's pass, the team that you have on your owner's pass, which Jack, you have the Rams, right?
I don't.
Yep. You don't need this
Okay.
is something like so. The Rams. So pretty sure you have the Rams. So you're going to get a wild card. It's going to be a new NFT that's going to be sent to you, and it looks really great. It's something different. You'll notice it. It'll stand out. That's a different NFT that you're going to get. So can't wait for you to see that. That'll be there, I think, tomorrow or the day after. We're going to take us out with the gritty. I wish I had some music, but great stuff, man. Great stuff.
We'll superimpose it. Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Wild card weekend officially begins. You'll get those wild cards in your wallets before Thursday kickoff. Make sure you visit the free agency pool. It will be updated before then as well. Pick up any cards you're missing. Huge week in the UNfantasy Football League, guys. This is our first shot at playoffs. Exciting times. So I look forward to surpassing John in the standings again. And we'll keep tabs on that as long as I don't pick his team like I did last week.
This is great, man. And he kept going all the way to the end, man. That's awesome. Appreciate it. We'll see everybody.